Well, we're in the process of making chicken noodle soup. I took a whole chicken. I already boiled it for about 3 hours because I want it nice and tender. Tender enough the bones will fall apart. What I'm doing right now is turning it apart in pieces, making sure I don't have any small bones. And a little bit later, we're going to go ahead and make our homemade noodles. Well, I got the chicken deboned. All the bones are here ready to go away. I got the chicken in here. The water is still a bit hot. I decided to cook the chicken after dinner, and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and show you how I make my noodles. On the noodles, I'll just obviously add more water in here, and then I'm going to dump them in here and let them. I like them to cook approximately 3 hours also, to let them plump up. I don't bake my noodles, or I bake my noodles, I don't just throw them straight into here, which I'll show you tomorrow. Well, I already deboned the chicken. There's all the bones. We'll get rid of them. I threw them all into the liquid. I'm going to add more liquid tomorrow, because I'm going to put this in the refrigerator tonight. It's dark. Tomorrow, I plan on making the noodles, dump them straight into here after I have them baked in the oven. Anyway, I forgot to mention, I just started dumping eggs in here. You're supposed to figure 1 egg per person. I like to figure 1.5 eggs per person. And if there's only 2 of you eating, you probably only want to boil down to half a chicken instead of a full chicken. Depends on how much you want in there. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm scrambling up the eggs first off. I got over a dozen in here that I'm making extra. I added salt. The salt, you don't want to get carried away, but then if you get too much, it does leach off into the water of the soup. So don't worry about that too much. Anyway, we're making gluten-free over here, and we're making normal over here. Now, I don't normally have it, you just start adding flour and stirring it in. Oh, by the way, you notice how, I think that's a salad fork.
No, that's a meat fork.
A meat fork? Anyway, I like that to mix with because it's big and it's easier to get the flour paste off of it when you start folding it in a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to start dumping the flour in and mixing it in. Too much flour at the moment isn't going to be. There's too much flour, it's going to stay on the outside of the bowl and you'll be working. Just kind of watch what I'm doing, I guess we'll say. Normally I have a cup, but I don't have a cup here. This isn't my house, I don't know where all is. But I'm taking, for right now, mine. Okay, now, and if you want to get close up to see what we're doing, we're just kind of stirring it around and kind of get the size of the bowl, but it's not too important immediately.
So basically, any excess flour is just going to stay in the edge of the bowl and not be able to mix because you're just too far. So there's really no too much flour, like you're saying.
Right, and see, I'm not mixing all the way, but already making enough. I already know I'm going to be adding more of this in there. So what is that, a cup?
Oh, at least.
But like I say, you really don't do the measurement. What you're doing is you're just adding and stirring a little bit, and you can see
the noodles make themselves.
That's right.
They'll only absorb so much moisture.
And we're not running this through a pasta machine, so it's not the same. It's the same with ingredients possibly, but it's not the same.
Consistency.
You don't need it and everything else. You know, you notice how hers is already. Now, what you can do is you can rake it off the fork and use your hand and see how bad it's sticking to you. I know it's a gluten-free, but just kind of turn it a little bit, and if it needs a little bit more, go ahead and add a little bit more of your flour to it. On the gluten-free one, we only put 4 eggs in there.
Because there aren't that many gluten-free.
Right. And we're separating the soup so that way it's good for everybody.
Kind of an experiment today.
Now, you notice mine is sticky.
I mean, it's more flour.
And you just kind of...
That's okay, it's not your house.
It's not my house, see, that's right. Hope the dog doesn't worry about gluten-free when there's dish. As you can see, I'm pushing it in, how it's wet there and still sticking. Excuse me. So I still want a little more flour in mine.
Mine looks pretty good. Yeah,
So we just got orders from headquarters to, set the,
Here's got too dry. What we can do
oven
is
to
add
375.
water, a little bit of water to it and mix.
okay. I don't.
You can still see I got moisture in there, which I'm not too worried at the moment. I think the outside's still picking the flour up. When I put it on the cutting board to roll out, I'm going to have extra flour sitting on the cutting board, which will pick it up. I'm also, once I get it flattened out a little bit, I'm going to flip it over so it's still picking up flour, so it's not going to stick. You don't want to be shy on the flour, because once you put it onto your sheet to go into the oven, you don't want it to stick. Normally I use newspaper, but I didn't want a bunch of people complaining about the ink and everything else, so we're going to use parchment paper to bake our noodles on.
nothing wrong with that, ain't?
Not hurt none of you.
Ain't hurt me none.
You didn't quite make it right or something, and it's really fragile.
Okay.
So roll it up to the edge. Okay, now go get another parchment paper and we'll lay it here extra because we know we're going to push this over. There. Let's see, it's going to be... Okay, now start unrolling it. Push it.
Beautiful.
Now see, that's the thing about the egg in there, it's still pushing out, and that's why you gotta watch, make sure you got enough flour in it. And because it's gluten-free, I've never worked with this, so we're not sure exactly how that works. And don't worry about connecting them together, because we're gonna be chopping it up, we just need it on there, that's all we need to do.
Yeah.
You just have to be safe.
Well, it's not gonna be that pretty.
Good enough for who's eating it. Oh, wait, that's me.
And take that small part, put it in between, I guess, so it don't fall off when you're trying to shove it into the oven.
Okay, so how do,
Get it close and I'll get it in there.
well,
There you go. I tried timing this, and I haven't figured it out yet. I tried on 15 minutes, thinking that's what it was. I almost burnt my noodles before. So I'm guessing approximately, not knowing this one, but 7 to 10 minutes. So I think what we're going to do is set the timer for 5 minutes and check it. When I check it, you look for a texture. I'll show you when we get. And what is sticky, I'm not too worried about, because right now I'm going to stick the flour and kind of squish it down, because the flour is your savior of it sticking to anything.
And turning it is just making sure everything's floured well and not sticking to the counter.
That's right. I usually have a pastry cloth. You can use a cotton tablecloth and flour it up good. I mean, this works fine, just that you got to watch it a little bit more.
I'm guessing you've done this a time or two.
Only a couple times. I vaguely remember what I'm doing, but it turns out. Okay, that there to me looks good. I don't like that yet, that's sticking out there, but I don't care. Okay, parchment paper. See, I kind of shook out the extra flour, it don't need to be on the top. And the extra flour also will be a thickener for the soup, so don't worry about it. Just let it bake like this and stick it in after you got chopped up. So I'm going to set this aside, make some more. How many eggs I got. So I'm going to make this one and have one small one.
Not your house.
Not my house, yeah, that's right. You can do that on a cotton cloth possibly, but on a counter it'll ball up. You need to spread a little bit so it doesn't.
Well, also on a cotton cloth, if you have it too moist, it'll stick to the cotton too.
That's right.
So you have to have your cotton well floured. And that would be scent-free cotton wash.
Okay. She's ready for another one of these. You notice that it does have a nice powdery coating on here already, so I'm not going to worry about it sticking to my newspaper or parchment paper. I'm kind of stacking these up here because I just want to get the rolling done. You don't want to get too many stacked, probably up to 4 of them, because that egg is going to start coming through again because we didn't work the flour in there as if you were making pasta with a pasta machine. This is still eggy inside, pretty much. So we're going to check the gluten-free. I think it's done because what I'm doing is looking to see if it bounces back and also like that, so I'm happy with that.
And we have brown parchment paper.
I'm going to throw these over here and put another one in there. Lay that thing back up, don't let them ball up on you. This is hot in there, so be careful. And here we're going.
But you don't have office hands, do you?
I don't have office hands. I'm going to bring this over and chop up some noodles. Just leave this here because it's a layer.
Actually,
So what do we have in this pot?
That there, we decided there wasn't enough chicken, and we didn't have time, so we cheated and went down to the store and bought some already
Roasted chicken.
Roasted chicken that Safeway and Fred Meyer normally have. Maybe even Walmart, I'm not sure. And so what we did is we took 2 of them, because we have a lot of people coming over for dinner. And so this way we have extra chicken and all the bones and fat are in here, so I can get the extra flavors, all the flavors I can get out of that chicken.
But this one that you're scooping out is the one we did yesterday.
Right. Well, it's also got the meat from the other chicken. That's what the brown is.
Oh.
Because I wanted to get them all mixed together.
I gotcha.
I got a little bit of the fat in there too, or not fat, the skin in there too, which normally I don't put skin in, but it was on there so the skin won't kill you. It's got some good flavor in it too.
Mm-hmm. Skin's always got good flavor. All right, we're checking the one in the oven here now.
I think it's pretty much done. I think I'll leave it in there just a couple more minutes.
Right.
Already done.
I agree. Not that I know anything.
I won't use anything like that. I have used this reading column. Yeah. The rice.
And what we're after is the water that's got all the flavor in it.
And we don't want any of the bones and fat in here. We just wanted all the flavor out of it.
On Ocean Beach Highway. So, this I found at...
Okay, I want a little bit more water in here. And then I'm going to add the noodles for the gluten-free. I just dump them in. I don't have the water boiling yet, but it doesn't matter. These are pretty much baked, dried out, however you want to call it. I mean, they still have moisture in them. But they'll be fine, I'm sure.
We'll see if they're going to be dumplings at the very end or not. That's where you get dumplings. Dump in your dough and let it cook in the pot.
And right now it looks pretty good. You can also right now add a little bit of pepper to it, which you can see I've got I'm going to say about a gallon or so in there of liquid noodles and everything else. And after this comes to boil and whatnot, I'm going to go ahead and taste the juice of it because I want enough salt in there too, so all the flavors come out. Look at it or whatever.
Uh-oh, paper's coming apart.
Yeah, we can need the cookie sheet.
That's why you should always use newspaper, no matter how good or bad it is for you.
That's right. Get on there.
And the next one's going in.
So we're approximately 7 minutes.
So set that thing to 7 minutes.
And we're going to cut it up to our noodle length that we'd like.
And obviously this acts more like egg noodle, because it's actually gluten.
And this is the part I enjoy. Delicious. Yes, this is still hot. I didn't let it cool down. It doesn't make any difference. I think it's better to cut it when it's hot because it's still, let's say, moister than if you were to let it cool down.
And besides, you don't have office hands.
That's right. And there we go. Now that's ready for the boiling water. Not this one. Yum.
So we're adding more moisture to the big pot, and we're straining it through the bones and skin.
Just trying to pull more of the flavor out. I might as well before we throw it out.
To the cats.
Yeah.
And we've got our pre-cut.
Make sure you put this over here. And I'm not boiling as usual, but I don't care. It's going to come to a boil. These things don't normally stick together, and you're supposed to give them a little bit of a stir anyway. And every once in a while, I'll give them a stir because they're going to be growing. This here is going to be probably twice the size of what you see there. Now there's our 7 to 8 minutes. I'm going to shut that off and I'm going to check the oven. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, but you can see where it's wanting to break, and it is rubbery, so that should be good. Okay, we're going to use it.
That parchment paper just isn't the same as that good old newspaper. And another going in.
Back to 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, we got lots of companies. There's a lot of yakking going on. Sorry about that.
And it was a defect.
Oh, that definitely. Yeah, I know what happens to defects.
You gotta get rid of the evidence.
Absolutely.
You notice that some of them are fat, some are skinny. I'm just chopping them wherever. The thing to remember is they're going to be doubling their size, and you can cut them up into the bowl and you're off your plate when you're ready to start eating them. So it's not a heart attack one way or another. Oh, there's another defect.
Okay, and then the second batch of noodles is going in here.
And I'm going to still add more water. I don't know if you can see through the steam. Excuse me, through the steam. but I have space for the noodles, but when they start growing, I'm going to lose that space. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump these in and add more water.
Making more noodles.
That's right, been quietly down.
So what he's doing is making sure that the noodles do drop down, and there is a void in there, they're just floating, but pretty quick it won't be. Okay, that's the gluten-free one, huh?
This is gluten-free. It's been in the water a little bit longer, but you can see the size of noodles they are. Even the gluten-free, they're getting bigger. Now I'm going to set the spoon aside in the gluten dish. And let's take a look at the ones I've been cooking shortly after. I do have noodles here. But see how they're starting to kind of swell up? They're sucking up all that juice. And they will be delicious.
Delicious.
Very hot.
Fresh out of the oven.
Oh, look at that.
You know, I would reach in there and grab one too, but that knife is moving. And I don't need any extra meat.
There need any blood in it?
And then that'll go right into the pot. Didn't even get a chance to cool down.
Well, Jack is getting tired. It's time I went home and... Yes, go on. Well, you got a good book to I didn't have...
Okay, I got this to a boil finally. Like I say, it is a large pot. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down. This is a large pot, so I'm going to... what I want is just a very light boil inside. So I'm going to turn it on low and see if I can still keep that little bit of a boil in here. These are growing, so you got to remember, you need to stir them every once in a while, check it, push down, because you can feel whether the bottom is filled up with noodles or not. If you got too many noodles in here, you want to start adding more water because you want this to soak up the juices from the chicken. And what I'm going to do is I like to leave this on the stove for about 2-3 hours to suck up as much as possible. When you have leftovers and reheat them, to me they taste even better yet because they had even more time to soak and you're heating them again. So they are delicious, reheated, and almost unless people are just stuffed, I can't believe there'd be anything left over. Well, here's the gluten-free noodles here. I'm going to take a taste of the juice so I can see if it's got enough salt, and a taste of the noodle. I tasted it when it was real early, we'll say, and to me it wasn't bad, but it was a little bit rubbery. The noodle still has texture, but it softened up per se quite a bit. Realistically, I could eat that, and it wouldn't kill me. It's not bad. Here.
And this is the regular egg flour noodle. You see how they've really swollen up, you know, being in the...
so that's why you don't want to cut them too big, because they'll double in size.
Definitely has.
And I'm pushing down, and I can tell that I still have a lot of moisture left. Soup, I guess we'll call it. If I didn't, I'd add more water because I don't want these noodles to get starved for water. I want them to swell up as much as possible.
What about bouillon cubes?
I wouldn't use any unless if you made the noodles and you cheated because you don't have
a full chicken.
If you use chicken breast only, you don't have any flavor and whatnot. I could see using some of your stores. You can buy a chicken soup mix, which is kind of strong with the salt, so I consider that a bouillon. You can add a little bit of that so you have your chicken flavor, and then the chicken breast with the noodles, that would be fine too. Of course, you're going to have to taste it and make sure it's got everything in it, flavor-wise. I think we started this about 12:30, and 3:30 right now. This is ready to eat as far as I'm concerned right now. Or you can still wait until 5 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock right now, so you can wait till 5 o'clock, which would be fine, because like I say, the longer it stays in that juice, the better. And also, like I say, if all of a sudden all the guests that we were supposed to have didn't show up, I can have this for the next 2 days if I wanted to. It's delicious, and it tastes better each time. Or I can take and vacuum pack it, and the way I do that is I'll fill the bag just so full, about as much as I want to eat for one meal. And what I do is I'll lay it at an angle on a cutting board in the freezer or the refrigerator, let it freeze, and then I can vacuum pack it so the juices don't run out. And this way I don't have to worry about freezer burn, and then I can just throw it in boiling water whenever I feel like eating it, and it'll be just like as if it came out of the pan today. So we had a wonderful dinner, and I do want to let you people know we made mashed potatoes, because that's how we normally eat the chicken noodle soup. We put mashed potatoes on the plate and then use the chicken noodle as a gravy. Myself, I like just straight chicken noodle, but it's still good with the mashed potatoes. And also, if you're trying to stretch the meal, that's what you do, make mashed potatoes, pour over like gravy. And also, on our dinner plan, we usually have corn for our vegetable. So it sounds good, tastes delicious. Everyone was happy.